everyone, and welcome to a segment I like to call Actually a Horse Rants About Books. Well, it's not really a book rant, it's a book review, but I was not particularly fond of the book that I'm going to talk about today, so it's probably going to come out as a book rant. I apologize in advance to anybody who actually really enjoyed this book, because I did not. But first things first, the book that I am complaining about, more or less, today is The Female Persuasion by Meg Wolizter. I came across this book at work. Barnes & Noble is holding a book club event for it, so people can come together and talk about books, especially this one. And while the idea of the book club is great, and I feel like it's something everybody should participate in, I feel like they should have been a little bit better about choosing what type of book they chose. Granted, it was harkened as this huge piece of feminist literature. It talks about the Me Too movement, supposedly, and it was supposed to be this really awesome just discussion about women's rights. And I guess in a way it sort of did, but overall I was not too impressed with it. So we're gonna jump into a little bit as to why I was not very impressed with it. Feel free to read the book and have your own opinions of it. This is just my opinion entirely. It is not paid for by anybody at all. And I would actually love to talk to you guys about what you liked and didn't like about the book, because that's half the fun of reading books, is being able to talk to people about them. Anyway, back to the book itself. It is about a girl named Greer who first starts off going to college. It is not her first choice in colleges, and she's very upset about it. And the person she meets that eventually becomes a really big impact on her life. The woman kind of adopts her and becomes her mentor for most of her college and going on into her adult life kind of deal. They meet at a discussion on feminist topics. The girl had recently undergone some sexual harassment, which again is how I guess it ties into the Me Too movement, but it was only discussed for literally 50 pages, and then again at the end for like maybe 3 paragraphs. So if you're gonna herald it as part of the Me Too movement, I feel like if it's gonna be a 500-page book, it should get a little more than not even a tenth of the novel screen time, I guess. I don't know, that's just, again, my opinion. And the girl also has a steady boyfriend, who she's trying to keep a long-distance relationship with. And the story kind of meanders between present day and past. And usually I actually really appreciate that sort of meandering type story, but here it did not work at all. The author just kept getting lost in random tangents that made me feel lost and really hard to keep up with what was actually going on and what the author was trying to say. And I don't know, there were lots of single sentences, might I add. This isn't even over the course of paragraphs, but single sentences that would start saying one thing and then say something that's sort of kind of related but wasn't really necessary to the point of what the sentence was trying to say about halfway through, and then go back to what the original point was. And I don't like that sloppy sort of writing. Never have been a fan of it. And I feel like that's something the editor should have caught. And then I'm not gonna go over too much of what goes on in the book, because I do want people to be able to read and enjoy it for themselves, or read and not enjoy it, depending. But the girl eventually graduates from college, and then she gets a job through her mentor, and then there are a lot of challenges that go along with that. And while the essence of a lot of what was going on in the story I really related to, because the main character is the same age that I am, and she had a lot of the same interests that I do, I just had a lot of issues with the book and the way it was written. This book was advertised as a strongly feminist piece of fiction, and that is true, but a lot of the so-called big speeches that went on throughout the book kind of felt like they were copied and pasted from other better written feminist books, and a lot of it was almost word for word what I had read other places, and there was like no originality, no like twists on it that made it interesting or broke more ground. And I feel like if you're going to write a feminist book, then you should probably push the fold a little bit and try new things and say something worth listening to other than just repeating over and over what everybody else has already said on the subject. I'm not against feminist literature at all. I am 100% all for it. I absolutely adore it. But at the same time, it's just like, if you're just gonna write the same old stuff as everybody else, then why bother, kind of deal. I don't know. I feel that way about a lot of literature, and that's also what's kind of driven me to write so much, is because I feel like a lot of authors, especially in teen fiction, get stuck on writing the same storyline over and over in slightly different ways, and nothing new is ever being accomplished. Anyway, another thing that kind of irked me about the book, but I can't actually decide whether it truly irked me or not, is the fact that it was about privileged white women feminism versus everything else. And while if it is just strictly about privileged white women feminism, I absolutely hate the book. Like, it's just, feminism is more about all women, not just women with money, especially white women with money. And the book kind of brings this out quite a bit. It doesn't ever really resolve anything, and nothing really ever changes, but it does kind of make fun of itself in that regard, which leads me to think that maybe instead of this being a huge issue with the book, it's the author kind of calling on the fact that this does actually happen from day to day, and nothing ever changes about it, and look, nothing good really comes out of it. We're still fighting the same battles because some people just make it all about themselves instead of about everybody, and it should be about everybody, not just themselves. And if that is what the author was legitimately trying to say throughout all of this, then it irritates me less than it originally did. Because if that was the point, and not just some accidental discovery that I happened across, then cool. This book wasn't half as crap as I thought it was, but it still kind of was rather sort of book. The female characters in the story, I did not like them at all. Like, I don't even know why I didn't like them. They just didn't feel very real to me. However, there was one character through the entire book, ironically, the main character's boyfriend, that I actually felt like I identified the most with, and the author did a phenomenal job writing his character arc, and I really appreciated the depths he went to, she pushed his character into, and like, that was one of the things that I liked about the book. But that was like 5 chapters, not even that, it was like 2 or 3 chapters out of this massive book, and it was just kind of frustrating. The book itself, the first chapter was 50 pages long. Yeah, and the entire book was about 500 pages. So it was a struggle to get through, because I'm one of those that does better with shorter chapters. I don't mind length so much, but if you're gonna have a really long book, you have to have a lot of chapters to break it up, in my opinion, just because it gives the reader a little bit easier goals to set for themselves when they're trying to get through a massive book. But that's just stylistic choices more than anything else. Another thing that really irked me about the book was just, see, I told you that this was just going to be me complaining about this book. I warned you. Another thing that really irked me about this book was the overuse of the word sexy. I swear every single character, with like 2 exceptions, had like some BS description immediately followed, but in a sexy way, or somehow there was one attribute about them that was sexy. And it's just like, I don't mind people calling everybody sexy. Like, I think that's actually really cool and really awesome, you know, not to just be like, oh, they're ugly or whatever, but using it that many times and to apply it to all of your characters, it's sloppy writing. Like, there's nothing else to say about it, really. And then one other phrase that kind of goes along with that, the main character's mentor wore boots, and every single time the boots were brought up, which was quite a bit, over 500 pages, they were described as the sexy boots. Like, every single character, no matter who it was, where they were from, called them the sexy boots. And I'm just like, really? Like, don't get me wrong, boots are great, but really? As you can probably tell, this book did not earn 5 stars in my opinion. It earned 2.5-ish. Closer to 2 than 2.5. I really did not like it. However, a lot of people I've noticed have really enjoyed it, and that is fantastic for them. I will probably go to the book club event at work just to see what it's all about, and because it's work related. But I don't know. I feel like they could have picked a better book along with the same topic, and maybe from a less prolific author, because this author has been around for a while too, and one that did a better job of spreading its message. But hey, it is what it is. I don't make the decisions. So anyway, that's gonna be about it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Feel free to leave your comments below. If you have read the book and had vastly different thoughts than I did about it, feel free to talk about it. I will gladly have a discussion with you. Otherwise, feel free to check out some of my other videos, subscribe if you'd like, and I will see you all later. I hope you have a wonderful day.